Tamarie. Tamarie made mistakes. The most important one was interacting with whales without a spotter. So she's putting her foot on Orchid, she's taking her foot off. She's putting her foot on Orchid, her rostrum, she's taking it off. Watching the video, knowing Orchid, your stomach drops because you know what's probably gonna happen. She grabbed her foot. Tamarie whips around and she grabs the gate. You see her just ripped from the gate. At this point, Tamarie knows that she's in trouble. She's under the water. Splash and Orchid both have her. She's totally out of view. No other trainer knows that this is happening.
If you ask most Americans what they know about orcas or killer whales, they'll probably mention Shamu, the world's most famous orca and the mascot of the SeaWorld Sea Parks chain. While there was an original Shamu, that name has been given to several orcas who've performed in the very popular killer whale shows that have attracted millions of spectators and billions of dollars to SeaWorld's parks. With their ability to perform on command, their seemingly loving relationships with their trainers, and sometimes through outright propaganda, it's very easy to think that these 3 to 6 ton cetaceans are like big friendly dogs who actually enjoy their lives as performers. But by examining the sea park industry and following the life of an orca named Tilikum, who's attacked or killed multiple trainers, Gabriella Cowperthwaite's riveting documentary Blackfish makes a compelling argument that orcas should not be held in captivity at all. In order to examine the conditions of orcas in captivity, Blackfish first introduces us to the lives of orcas in the wild, where these highly intelligent animals spend their whole lives in close-knit family groups and are believed to communicate feelings and emotions using their complex brains in ways humans can't imagine. That makes it even more heartbreaking to hear about the capture, or as a repentant hunter calls it, the kidnapping, of baby orcas from their frantic parents. That begins a history of orcas in captivity, where orcas, who can easily swim 100 miles a day, must perform to receive food and are confined to cramped pools in conditions that drastically decrease their lifespans. The frustration and boredom this generates is believed to lead to orcas attacking their trainers, which is where Blackfish focuses, specifically on a male orca named Tilikum who's been involved in the deaths of 2 trainers and 1 man who snuck into Tilikum's pool after closing hours. Each time, the deaths were attributed to hypothermia, drowning, or trainer error, despite evidence to the contrary. In the case of Tilikum, not only was he transferred to another sea park and his violent history kept under wraps, but his sperm has been used to sire dozens of orcas in other parks. Most of the interviews in Blackfish are with former SeaWorld orca trainers, who are neither marine biologists nor orca experts, but are primarily just physically fit animal enthusiasts. While the former trainers clearly love the orcas and treasure their time with them, they all harbor major misgivings about their work, how sea parks are operated, whether orcas should be kept in captivity, and even if their relationships with the orcas were as mutually affectionate as they once believed. And with Tilikum's last victim being Don Brancho, one of SeaWorld's most experienced and respected trainers, the question must be asked if orcas can ever be trained safely, which is driven home with harrowing footage of a trainer nearly being drowned by an orca, who repeatedly dragged him to the bottom of a pool over 12 terrifying minutes. Throughout Blackfish, the orcas are never painted as monsters or villains, but as intelligent animals who shouldn't be blamed if they become the products of the crummy lives we subject them to. When one of the trainers says, "They're not your whales," when describing his feeling of helplessness as a whale he loved was transferred, I heard that as the bigger issue of why humans feel it's our right to kidnap, imprison, and subjugate these amazing animals for our own profit and amusement. After all, they're not our whales. And while I understand that sea parks can help educate and excite kids, if that means abducting sentient wild animals, forcing them into servitude, and painting them as cartoon characters, maybe we should consider leaving that job to the scientists. I'm Jonathan Kim, and this is a ReThink Review.